Last night at Eldora, the 3WideRacing League competed in their first Triple Crown event back at Eldora Speedway with the straight stocks. Tonight we go open wheel racing at Iowa Speedway for 150 laps in Finney, and this place is ridiculously fast in an open wheel race car, but a very different style of racing than we were competing with last night.
Yeah, last night we told these guys drifting through the corners, but here tonight you definitely don't want to do that. With the downforce that these cars produce, you want to be going in a perfectly straight line and as fast as humanly possible. Like you said, very fast cars, these Indy cars, especially with this newer generation of them. Been going a little bit quicker than before, especially with a little bit less downforce on these cars that make a little less aero push for these guys, so they're going a little bit faster in the draft.
Johnny Thomas, number 83, was the guy that came out on top the other night, and was obviously very exceptional in that number 83. And here he is again tonight running P3. Peter Short in the 22 car sitting on provisional pole. Tanner Sharp in the number 3 right now running 9th on the racetrack. Look at the speed these guys carry through. Absolutely neck-breaking speeds around this racetrack, Finian. Iowa Speedway here in Newton, Iowa. Very quiet night here tonight, and I'm really excited to get this underway. 150 laps. They're going to go by very quickly. 16-second laps around this racetrack.
Notably, too, we got Chad Frankenfield in the 15. He's a new name here we haven't seen in the 3-wide series, so nice to see him here. He's doing pretty well in second at the moment. Also, Corey Lindsay, too, up into 4th place. We
have 20 entries here this evening, so 20 cars will be going for the first of 3 Triple Crown victories. Next week, we go to my favorite racetrack, Watkins Glen International, for some road racing. But here tonight, Finian, IndyCar, larger ovals, you have a lot of drafting component, but here it's a lot of handling. You don't really have a whole lot of lanes to choose from. So what does a race at Iowa look like here?
Well, yeah, there is a... Well, I wouldn't say it's really necessarily draft. It's not that these guys are going to be worried about. It's more the aero push that comes with being behind another car. These guys are going to find themselves when they're stuck up behind someone, their car is going to start pushing towards the top part of the track, towards the wall on exit. So it's going to be a lot harder to keep behind someone. But they're going to have to work with that, try to adjust their driving style with that aero push and try to overcome that to make passes.
Actually, I have to correct myself. Matt Grunberg was the one that ended up in that race. Yes. I think I said the 83 Johnny Thomas won. He finished 3rd. Almost won it.
Yeah, he finished
3rd. But anyway, Matt Grunberg was the guy that won last night at Eldora. Here he is in that Jegs yellow 54 car that we always see him in, and going for his qualifying run here at Iowa, and does not yet have a time on the board. Watching him navigate around 100, almost 200 miles an hour off into turn 1 here at Iowa is pretty ridiculous here. So very high speeds at Iowa, and first lap wasn't spectacular, but we'll see if he can pick up on lap number 2.
Yeah, pretty slow first lap. We'll see again if he was just trying to set up for the second. Usually it's faster. Across the line he goes, and...
up to second.
There we go. That's that pace. 0.03 of a second behind Peter Short.
Yeah, and just like last night, we're seeing the cream of the crop rise to the top. Peter Short in the 22 up on pole. Had a bad qualifying effort last night at Eldora, but came home and finished... I believe 4th place last night in that number 22 car, if my memory serves me correctly. So Peter Short, very fast, as is Grunberg. But here's a guy that's out of his element, the 46 of Kyle Hanshaw. But look at the paint scheme on this car, Finian.
Yeah.
Galaxy colors all over that Kyle Hanshaw Racing Indy car. It is a gorgeous colored scheme, and I'm excited to watch it race here tonight.
Yeah, we'll see him on his second lap now and see what time he's going to put up on the board.
Number 3 and 4 gets right up to that yellow line. Don't want to touch that. It'll make your car really unstable out to the outside wall in turn number 4. Across the line. Hanshaw comes across the line in 14th. Does not improve in that number 46 car. And with that, qualifying is complete here at Iowa, so we'll get them gridded up and ready to go. 150 laps. It's going to go by very quickly here tonight, Finian. Not a long race at all. 20 cars here, so not a massive field either. So what that means for these drivers is that qualifying isn't going to be quite as important as it might be in some larger fields like Indianapolis, but really excited to get this one underway here tonight. It's going to be a good race for sure, as you see the field gridding up there on the exit of pit lane.
There's some very nice looking cars on the grid here.
Yeah, gorgeous paint schemes, and they look amazing under the lights here at Iowa Speedway. And yeah, this a little bit higher grip level under when the sun goes down here, Finian, and that means that the speeds are up and the engines run cooler and the tempers run hotter as everyone runs closer together. So excited to watch this under the lights. We don't really often get to do night races anymore because typically we run day races just to make it slipperier and harder for the drivers. But here tonight, sun goes down, the lights come on, and the racing goes. And Really excited to watch this underway. So Peter Short on the pole in that number 22 car. Different paint scheme than we're used to seeing him. No more Kansas City Southern Toyota Tundra. He's in a number 22 BMDG car here tonight.
Yeah, and he's going to roll off the grid shortly here, and I believe almost everyone should be gridded up.
And here's our starting lineup. Starting on the front row, Peter Short and Matt Gruenberg, both in Dallara IR18s. The 22 on the inside, the 54 will be on the outside of the front row.
Moving on back to row number 2, Kevin Jadrosich in the 42 is going to start in third. Moving back to fourth, we have Chad Frankenfield in the 15.
5th and 6th, Johnny Thomas in the 83, Corey Lindsay in the 00. Johnny Thomas will be the inside, and Corey Lindsay will be on the outside of row number 3.
Moving on back to row number 4, Nathan Velez in the 48 will be on the inside, and outside of him will be David Wilson in the 39.
9th and 10th, Drew Eisenman in the number 77, Jordan Teal in the 33. Again, Eisenman and Teal didn't have the greatest of nights last night at Eldora. They're going to try to redeem themselves on the open wheelers here tonight at Iowa.
Moving back to 11th, we got Tanner Sharp in the 3, and outside of him, Mac Hackathorn in the 44.
13th and 14th will be Jordan McKeeboy in the number 21, and Kyle Hanshaw in that beautiful number 46 car we mentioned just a little while ago. And Kyle Hanshaw coming off of a strong run tonight. Should have won, but came up a couple spots short.
Moving back to 15th, Levi Zielinski in the 97. Outside of him in 16th will be Carlos Acosta in the 24.
Richard Hines and Chad Brown, 17th and 18th back there. Hines will be on the inside. Brown will be on the outside of that number 64 car.
And rounding our last row should be Mike Stevens in, that should be 19th in the 63, and in 20th should be Nick Miller in the 99.
That got messed up somehow. that doesn't make any sense, but we'll roll with it anyway. Pace car's working its way through turns 1 and 2 now, and got that field of 20 cars behind it. 10 rows of 2, and Peter Short, he's got a... We mentioned last night his skill level in pretty much every kind of racing that we see him in, but here tonight, this is something we haven't seen him do yet, is open wheel stuff. So excited to watch him get underway. We got some teammates in the 2 rows behind him on those inside lanes. That's the 83 of Johnny Thomas is one of those cars. And I believe that's the 42 of Kevin Jadrosich behind him as well. So, rolling through 3 and 4, 150 laps on the board. We're going to go racing at Iowa for the Triple Crown event here for the 3WideRacing League. Pace car is going to pull off, and leaving Peter Short and Matt Gruenberg in charge of the green flag, and it's flying here at Iowa. 150 laps underway.
You see everyone get pretty spread out already as they head off into turn 1.
Short drops down to the inside, running away, but look at the 54, sliding back very quickly, going to lose a spot to the 42 of Kevin Jadrosich. Side by side in 3 and 4, that's the Miller Light car, the 15 to Chad Frankenfield alongside Gruenberg, trying to get that spot away. David Wilson behind in the 39. Johnny Thomas trying to improve his spots as well.
So Jadrosich did a great job on that inside, able to get ahead of Gruenberg. Gruenberg's going to have to try to fight that spot back if he wants to get back into second place.
Johnny Thomas trying to gain some spots. That's the 48 of Nathan Velez on the outside. Way up the racetrack behind him is the 33 of Jordan Teal. Can Teal split them 3 wide? No, he doesn't. Stays in behind the 48 car, excuse me.
He's going to get ahead of Johnny Thomas. He'll move up to 7th, trying to make some progress here early on.
There's Kyle Hanshaw in the number 46 up to 12th, trying to get 11th away from the Levi Zielinski in the number 97. Behind him, McKeeboy and Acosta, trailing him out of turn 4.
There you see McKeeboy dive way down low. Acosta's going to follow in behind as they head off into turn 1. And there you see outside, you see that's Hanshaw getting a huge run out of the corner.
Down the back straightaway. We mentioned the lane choice, probably not as big as it would be during a day race, but Hanshaw making good use of that outside lane. Here comes Carlos Acosta. Power move around the outside of Jordan McKeeboy. He'll move himself into the 13th spot.
Yeah, now's the time really to make those moves with the tires as fresh as they are, because that'll definitely wear out a lot more as the run goes on. We already got a car that's slow on the inside. It's Corey Lindsay. Yeah,
damage to the nose of that 00. Let's quickly go back and find out what happened to him.
It was running really well.
It was a little ways back, actually. There's actually damage. There's actually no replay to look at there, if any. He was damaged coming to the start of the race.
Really? Interesting.
So, must have gotten it on the pace lap somewhere, but Corey Lindsay down 2 laps already. Meanwhile, Peter Short continues to lead out front by 0.5 of a second. Jadrosich, Gruenberg, Frankenfield, and Velez, the rest of your top 5. Let's head back to David Wilson in 7th, trying to grab a spot away from Jordan Teal.
Yeah, he seems to be kind of stuck in line at the moment, trying to, again, draft his way up to the 33.
And dirty air going to be talked about a lot here tonight, Finian. Get in behind a car. That arrow shadow is going to be... if you're noticing the relative flashing, that's because of an ATVO update. We got one Out of the groove there is at Frankenfield in the 15. Yeah, there's an ATVO update. That's why that's flashing. There's some kind of bug in it, Finian, if you're wondering that.
Oh, no, I was pointing to that.
Okay. Just making sure. Because, yeah, if you're noticing relative flashing, update to our software, and obviously there's a bug in it that hopefully will get patched soon. But Frankenfield and Grunberg battling for third, and behind him, Velez closing in. Velez almost bounced off the wall in turn 4.
Yeah, Grunberg just does not seem to be really up to pace. He was keeping pace with the 42 a few laps ago, but now is falling to the clutches of Frankenfield. Frankenfield trying to make the pass.
Out of turn 4 now, Grunberg just ahead by a little bit. This is where you kind of have to start using alternative lines if you're the 15 of Frankenfield. You can't really follow in the arrow shadow of that 54. You're going to get pushed way up the racetrack. Drew Eisenman on pit lane, Finian as well. Don't have any visible damage on that car. First of all, that's a gorgeous paint scheme.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous paint scheme. Unfortunately, he's out of the car, so kind of wondering what happened to him.
Johnny Thomas, we got one pulling off here. That's Hackathorn letting the 97 of Zielinski drive around him. So Hackathorn a little bit off the pace here early.
I don't see any damage on his car either, so it's kind of...
he's certainly taking it easy. Nathan Velez, oh wow, he's real slow. Did he make contact with a wall up at turn 4?
I don't see anything. Might have gotten really close to it, might have had a let off, but he actually looks like he's struggling.
Yeah, he's lost
mid-corner.
He's losing a ton of time here, Finian.
Yeah, so not sure what's up with in the 48 camp, but here we got a battle shaping up again between Grunberg and Frankenfield.
Yeah, Jadrosich up here as well. This is going to be the battle for second. 2.7 seconds behind Peter Short. So there's a big lead that the 22 car has, but Frankenfield's managed to get it by Grunberg in that 54, move him up to third.
Yeah, looks like Grunberg's going to surrender that position. These guys are going to ride along, but notably, Jadrosich had a significantly slower lap, and Short in general is putting
a half a second quicker than everybody else.
Yeah, there's some faster guys back in the pack, but compared to second through fourth, he's a half a second faster every lap. And again, every lap. That's not every 10 laps, every lap.
The speed, and you see Frankenfield passing for second now. What is happening? Peter Short now up 3.5 seconds over Chad Frankenfield in the 15. He has just shot out of a cannon. They're still side by side for second. Wow, the 42 almost slips up into the wall. Goes Jadrosich, balances off, pulls down on the inside of the racetrack, and caution out. Grunberg spins, crashes hard, and the engine cover in that car is gone.
Yeah, I think that might have been caused. I think he checked up hard trying to avoid that.
Oh, Jordan Teal involved as well, Finian.
Yeah, and so I think this is kind of a domino effect that we saw here.
Yeah, we'll have to go back and take a look. There was obviously multiple factors of this. So let's watch the 33 of Teal here from the right on board the roll bar here. Watch up ahead. You see the 42 bounce off the wall. Gruber gets on the brakes, and Teal just runs into the back of him. Did not get the memo, and wow, horrible crash up into the fence, and goes for a tumble. It's almost like, you know, I almost wonder if he was in the midst of a communication or something, wasn't looking at the track in front of him, because he was full throttle right into that. And
it might have been one of the situations where it might have been looking somewhere else on a screen, and thought that Grunberg was still going straight, and then when he looked up, Grunberg was going significantly slower ahead.
Yeah, let's ride on board with Jadrosich now, and this is unfortunate because he really was having a good race so far. He gets underneath the 15 and then just loses the nose on exit right here and just pushes up the racetrack, bounces off the wall, and here's where the carnage happens. You'll see it right here off to the right front.
You see two cars flipping and sliding down the front straightaway. And I think what happened is to Jadrosich, why we saw him losing so much time too short, was that I think he was just he just used up too much of his stuff early on, so lost a lot of that late run pace. But pit stop's underway here for our leaders.
Well, Peter Short was absolutely destroying everybody out on the racetrack
time-wise. It's going to be close.
Look, I think Frankenfield might have beaten him. I mean, he has, so Frankenfield will win the race off of pit road.
No, it was to the yellow line. There's several different lines at the end of pit road. I think it was the yellow line that was actually determining where these guys came out. So it was almost Frankenfield, not enough, though. He's going to have to settle in for second.
Yeah, so Peter Short will be third. So Hines and Tanner Sharp do not come to pit road. And I question this a little bit here, Finney. That was a decent run, about 15, 16 laps, and here they come now in pit road. But Tanner Sharp stays out on the racetrack, so I really question that now.
Yeah, he's going to definitely fall kind of like a rock, pretty much. Although these guys aren't starting single file, as opposed to, or they should be starting single file, as opposed to the double file restart that we see in...
Cameron Rich cracking this up in the chat. Yeah, but again, that was a weird crash, and I think there's going to be some questions from Matt Grunberg to Jordan Teal about, you know, situational awareness. Obviously, things happen fast here, but that was a full throttle incident, very dangerous situation. So Jordan Teal out of the race Gruenberg, Jadrosich, and others all out. So only 15 cars still left on the racetrack without damage, Finian. So that took out a bunch of good race cars.
Yeah, so all these guys gonna hope that they can at least try to get something back on the track potentially for some points. But yeah, definitely a lot of guys out early on.
Well, I really want to find out what's making that 22 car so fast here, Finian. I mean, that was not even close. Almost a 4-second lead in that first 15-lap run. This guy's got something figured out.
Yeah, and I think, again, I partly think it was due to him just abusing his tires a lot more than the guys around him. That Jadrosich was holding off the pace, and that's what eventually led him to finding the wall. I think he just ran out of grip on those tires. But notably, one guy who was charging up was Frankenfield, was on a charge between Gruenberg and Jadrosich, just pretty much drove around them. So I think he was conserving his tires a little bit early on, and that paid dividends later on. So I think he might have something here for the 22 Peter Short.
Nick Miller on the number 99, look at him, started 21st, running 8th, so a good improvement for Nick Miller in that Team Blurry car. So he's got his teammate up front in form of Tanner Sharp in the number 3, so they're looking to get themselves both inside the top 5 as Miller's still got a couple places to go. Carlos Acosta up to 7th, started back in 16th for him, so a couple big movers here early. David Wilson, the number 39, that purple car, he's up here, as well as, where's Kyle Hanshaw? There he is in the number 46, started in 14th up to 6th. Again, cannot say enough how gorgeous that paint scheme is. Actually reminds me a lot of our own SimTV Cup car paint scheme. The Galaxy whole effect going on there. It's a beautiful scheme, and he was very excited about it on Twitter, and good thing, good reason, because it's absolutely beautiful. Probably the best looking car in the field, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely. That's definitely up there, if not the car, too. But yeah, White should be off on the pace car this time by. I'm definitely interested in seeing where Tanner Sharp is going to be in all this. And are double flowers? Okay,
no.
I thought they were.
They looked like it. Peter Short wanted it probably because he's going to be stuck behind the number 3. So
yeah.
The question becomes, how much does Tanner Sharp protect this? Because there's no point situation here, so there's not really much.
Oh, they are double filing.
They are going double file. Oh, right. This is going to be carnage.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be carnage. I was going to say that was going to be a lot better of a move for Sharp if they traditionally restarted single file. But we're going to go with a double file restart here, so this should, again, yeah, definitely be interesting to see with these guys.
Yeah, interesting is what I would call it. Anyway, Chad Frankenfield, starting behind Tanner Sharp, he's got to be on his toes here because that 3 car is not going to turn very well when we get down to turn 1. I am going to make a bold prediction and say that 22 car will be leading by the exit of turn 2.
Oh, I think that's a very, very safe prediction here.
At least by the end of the lap.
Yeah.
Maybe not the exit of turn 2. Pace car pulls off, lap 23. Green flag back in the air, and the 3 car, Tanner Sharp, almost spins out on the restart and gets away. Peter Short did not get away. We got this one spinning behind him, Finian. Matt Hackathorn.
Hackathorn spins off the track, though. We're going to stay green. But meanwhile, out of turn 2, you see Frankenfield trying to take the lead from Sharp. And there you see Frankenfield going to dive to the inside. It should be no contest here coming out of 4.
A little bit of a contest, side by side for the lead. Peter Short closing back in. He's the quick one to watch out for. Hackathorn's still on off pace there, down on the inside. Mike Stevens off pace down on the back straightaway, side by side for the lead, continuing. And Frankenfield got the lead now. Can he get past Tanner Sharp in 3 and 4? Looks like he's going to get it done now.
Yeah, I was going to say, it took him a little bit of an extra lap, but he's going to be clear there, and that's going to be key here for the 15 of Frankenfield, as now Short's got to get around the 3 of Tanner Sharp.
And Short is coming like the wind. Out of turn 2, drops to the inside of Tanner Sharp. Here he comes, and might make quick work of this one, but doesn't quite clear the 3. Almost contact out of turn 4 there, side by side. Will not be able to complete the pass.
Yeah, definitely, I guess Tanner Sharp saved his tires a lot more than I would have expected here, as he's actually putting up a bit of a fight with these guys up here.
David Wilson in number 39 up to 4th, really being aggressive, as quick as Peter Short right now on the board. So, as you see Peter Short drop to the inside of Tanner Sharp, he's going to be right there to pounce.
I definitely think he's going to try to be patient and see if an opportunity presents itself, and there's an opportunity. He's going to try to look to the outside of Short, backs off the throttle, and here we got a bunch of guys stacking up here for a fight.
This is a dangerous situation. A car on older tires and a bunch on new ones. Peter Short's right up the gearbox of the 3 to the inside. Here he comes. David Wilson's going to try to follow caution on the racetrack. Levi Zielinski spun in turn 4. Wow. Action. Very quick action here.
Yeah, definitely. So
Zielinski's just coming off the pit lane here. And he gets down on the apron, and he might just lose it in the low grip situation. Just loses it down there all by himself. And slips up and caution. Wow, that was right in the racing line. It's a good thing we had a caution there. So Zielinski, a lot of guys having a bad day, but some guys really shooting out of a cannon. Frankenfield has proven to be a very quick contender here. Tanner Sharp held on better than I thought he would.
Yeah.
He's still second.
Yeah, again, I think he saved up his tires on that initial run, a lot better than some of the other guys towards the front, I think. And then with that caution, it allowed him to move up a lot of position. He still had some decent tires left on that car, so he was able to fend off some the 22 short and even give Frankenfield a fight.
First car one lap down is Mike Stevens. Some damage to the left front wing of that car.
Yeah, though it seems to be, the damage seems to be relegated to the wing, so he should be able to come down and
the rear wing's got a big dent in the right side as well, so he's gonna have to get both ends of that car fixed. But the field comes down pit lane here, Finian. Well, some of them do.
Let's see the back half of the grid, and led by Tanner Sharp in the 3.
Yeah, so interesting pit strategies here. I'm potentially thinking about the end goal here and not the short-term goal, but Frankenfield, Peter Short will be back up front.
And this should be good for Sharp. Sharp was kind of a little bit ways further back when he stayed out initially, so gained a lot of position. Might lose a few here, but he's going to be coming out in 7th, so solid job by that 3.
Chad Brown in the 64, Richard Hines also on pit lane, Kevin Finn again, and others, Nick Miller as well, exiting pit lane. All right, so Chad Frankenfield will resume leading this race when the green flag drops once again here. So already about 5th of the way, is that math? 5th of the way done here, yes indeed. And Chad Frankenfield, Peter Short up in front. And again, I really think this is the guy to beat. Bold prediction, I know, but David Wilson's also got a lot of pace, was matching Peter Short's lap time on that last run.
Yeah, and definitely I think it's the 15, the 22, and the 39 seem to be the cars to beat tonight. Also, you can say maybe potentially the 83 Johnny Thomas drove his way up a few positions. So he might have a fight here.
Yeah, and I'm watching the speeds here, Finney, and the difference in the day to night here, almost over 200 miles an hour at the end of the front straightaway here in an IndyCar. That is just an absolutely absurd speed. This track is not very big. So the fact that we're seeing over 200 at the end of the straightaway and 185, 190 plus in the corners is absolutely ridiculous. And it's almost like driving Bristol in an F1 car. I mean, that's what it feels like. It's just, you're rocketing around this racetrack with, 16 seconds. You're at the other half of the track in 7 or 8 seconds. That's just absurd to me. And when an accident happens, there's not a whole lot of time to react.
Yeah, definitely. So I haven't seen really too big of an incident, except for the initial caution.
Other than the 33 car pirouetting through the air and smashing off the fence a couple times.
Yeah. As far as I guess victims would be the best word to use. Not too many so far, and hopefully it stays like that because attrition is starting to be a little bit higher. Still got a decent amount of the grid left running on the track. Got 15 cars left.
Yeah, Levi Zielinski, I didn't see a whole lot of damage on that car other than, he looks okay, but he's 5 laps down and probably won't return.
Yeah, I think he just pulled it off the track after that spin.
Lights are very bright.
Yes, they are.
Pace car working its way onto the back straightaway again. Will probably be coming to the 1 to go next time through. Love the sound of these engines rolling around here, even at pace speed.
Yep, I can't hear a single thing. I'll take your word for it.
They sound good. I'll tell you that. Peter Short will be restarting on the outside. Didn't get a very good restart last time and got under attack, and actually really didn't make as much progress as I thought. But Chad Frankenfield, on some fresher tires than the 3-car Tanner Sharp had last time, should get a better restart this time. But look out for David Wilson, starting right there. Also behind the 22 Peter Short, we got our nice friend Johnny Thomas, as well as Kyle Hanshaw in that beautiful number 46 car. So both those cars, the orange and the purple, will be rocketing their way forward here on the restart. And don't look too far to find Carlos Acosta in the 5th spot. That Moe's number 24. He's made his way up through the field, and a lot of these cars that are up here have passed quite a few cars to get here. So it's ready to go racing and ready to restart here at Iowa Speedway. Chad Frankenfield elects for the inside lane.
Yeah, now it's interesting to see, too. We saw Peter Short get stuck in traffic behind the 3. Was able to make a workaround of him, and now we'll see if Peter Short has enough to fight with Frankenfield. Short has pretty much been leading most of this race so far, so this will be an interesting dynamic that the kind of tables have turned here.
And the restart going to be extremely important for Peter Short. Don't want to get stuck behind any traffic. Pace car pulls off. Green flag. Chad Frankenfield fires off quickly. David Wilson will follow him through. Again, a very, very poor restart for Peter Short. Going to lose a spot here, maybe 2, as Frankenfield drives away side by side for 3rd, 4th, and 5th behind him.
Oh, and Acosta getting loose.
We got one around. Jordan McEvoy, nope, Tanner Sharp in the 3 spins, but we stay green.
Yeah, I saw him and both Acosta in the 24. They clipped the inside line.
Caution's out now, Finney. Wow,
Oh!
huge crash in turn 4. Chad Brown is in it. Kevin Finn is in it. Richard Hines got a piece of it as well. And just like that, we're back under yellow here. Where did this one start? Oh, wow. Oh, man, what a wreck. Trying to find... So there, Chad Brown was the car that slid up. Was that just understeer, Finney? Like, I don't know what really caused that.
I think, I don't know if it was understeer. I think he might have just thought he had some more room clear. They shouldn't really be understeering. No, I see what it did. He was turning in more, let off a little bit on turn. If we actually get an onboard, we can see what he did there.
This is going to hurt, folks.
So there's a spin.
Wow,
Did a great job of avoiding
spinning.
that.
Huh.
So now I'll watch his air steering, but he's going to turn in a lot in 3 and then let off. You see him let off just a little bit.
That's all it takes. And then, wow, what a ride. Oh, my goodness. The camera got impaled in the fence there. And then also the another car that got a good view with that was Kevin Finn. Right on board here. Off the shoulder cam. And not much that Kevin Finn could have done. Just gets clipped here.
Almost had to save, but the car was just going too fast. Had too much momentum, and yeah, just slipped up into the wall, and that's going to be, unfortunately, the end of his night.
It's rolling. High attrition rate here at Iowa tonight, Finney. And we didn't really expect this. Usually, you bring out Knight, and there's a lot more grip, and it makes things a lot easier. But the high speeds here and the downforce levels make this a very tricky combination.
Yeah, I also don't think the double file restarts are probably helping too
No,
much.
definitely not.
So letting these guys be a little bit more antsy, and especially considering how fast you can dart around these things, it really makes the starts chaotic. But yeah, we are now down to, it seems like, about 10 drivers left on the
Peter
track.
Short back in 10th. Did he come back down to pit lane? He must have. Under that yellow. And meanwhile, the Iowa Speedway repair crew is fixing the fences on the front straightaway and in turn 4. There's a lot to fix. To pull down a couple poles down there, they got to get sorted back out. But
notably, Gruberg's back out on the track. Not interested in seeing his car. He's actually,
looks like it's in pretty good shape, but we'll have to see if it can maintain any kind of speed. Might be more damage than meets the eye here.
Surprised if he found an engine cover to put back on that thing. Thought he would be without it, but he's got at least some sort of arrow on that car. But yeah, now only a lap down. I actually thought he was more.
They'd stop putting arrow in these cars. They'd stop taking off and flying into the fence. Get some groundo or something. Put that on. Jesus Christ. I don't know, something. Roof flaps.
There's no roof, though.
Small details. Chad Frankenfield still leads here. David Wilson up to second. This is a guy that I know we mentioned a little bit, but he's been pretty quick here tonight. And again, just as fast as Peter Short. Now he's got the track position to take care of this as well. So if he could get up alongside Frankenfield, he might have a chance to go for a win here tonight. We got a long way to go, and there's not a lot of cars left. So what that means for Wilson is that the attrition rate's high. Where she can finish right now is 12th. Might as well go for it, right?
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to be on its agenda. Is one of his major competitors, that 22 Peter Short, stuck back in traffic now in 8th. He's got a lot of ways to work up towards the front of the field compared to these guys.
The danger zone for Peter Short is we've seen the restarts be kind of wild here, so I'm hoping he can make it through this, but there's a lot of carnage that could happen. And it only takes 1 or 2 cars to make a mess. You don't need 15, 20 cars to make a big wreck, so the rest of these cars are going to have to be very careful back here to keep that 22 car alive. Should be coming to 1 to green this time through. You see the massively reduced field. There are some cars still out on the racetrack that have returned after some crash damage. Matt Hackathorn now is 3 laps down. Matt Grunberg is 1 lap down. The top 10 are all on the lead lap, and most of those cars are without damage. There are a couple that have some wing damage that have since gotten fixed, but this field rolls through turns 1 and 2. We'll get ready to go for another restart. Onto the back straightaway. Chad Frankenfield leads them down. We've seen Frankenfield, his restarts have been absolutely phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to seeing him try to get away from the 39 of Wilson. But look who's behind him, the 83 of Johnny Thomas.
Yeah, 83 Johnny Thomas, and I'm also interested in seeing how well Wilson can get a restart. We've seen Peter Short mess up twice on the 2 attempts he had a restarting on the outside, so we'll see if Wilson's going to be able to keep up with the 15.
Yeah, and how bad is that outside lane? Is it the lane that's causing it, or is the driver pace car pulls off? We'll find out. Chad Frankenfield fires off again. Wilson gets a much better restart than Peter Short had gotten from the outside, and we're back green here, lap number 39.
Yeah, Thomas was the one that got a poor restart, held up the inside line. We're here 3
Whoa,
wide into
man.
1.
Oh, there they go again. Into the
Ooh.
fence. And just like that, back under yellow once again. McEvoy in the fence, literally. And that's okay. Well,
he's trying to drive it out, but that's not getting unstuck.
Oh,
And
well,
yep,
that'll be it. But let's go take a look at that. And that was just never going to work. And that's the 99 of Nick Miller on the inside and Peter Short on the outside. And again, just I think it was the same situation, Finney. You see, is that the 3 of Tanner Sharp that got collected?
Yes.
It is. But I think it was the same thing that happened before in the last wreck. Let's watch the steering input on this 21 car.
Yeah, and I think what this did, I think he knew that he was 3 wide, kind of backed out of it almost because he almost got into the 99.
Right there, gets behind on the steering. And
yeah, and Tanner Sharp was not expecting him to come up like that, so Sharp had nowhere to go. And again, like we've been talking about, these cars go so quick, it's so hard to judge those things in a split second.
Left front suspension cam on the 3 of Tanner Sharp. This ought to be an interesting view.
Oh, so yeah, the closing rate was ridiculous on him, and yeah, had no time to react.
All right. Get one more view of this real quick. Watching Tanner Sharp now, and you see up in front of him the 21 just trying to back out of it. When he backs out, just gets understeering, and boom, and the 3 car runs into the back of him. Not really anything Sharp could have done differently there. I don't think he would have been able to avoid that regardless. Well, and then there were 9.
Yeah, no slowly falling in numbers, although notably the 9th car of those guys, the 54 of Grunberg, just got his lap back. So he's now back on the lead lap with these guys.
9 Indy cars on the wall. Take one down, pass it around. 8 Indy cars on the wall. Take one down, pass it around. 7 Indy cars on the wall. I guess
it's better instead of a wall fence.
I think these drivers would like these catch fences removed and replaced with inflatable cushions. With how much they've been flying into them here tonight.
Either that or another driving surface so they can just ramp up and drive around.
What they should do is they should make progressive banking that when it gets to the wall, just progressively turns up to 90 degrees.
Oh god.
So you just ride up. You can just ride up on the wall and just be like Lightning McQueen.
Weren't there racetracks in like the early days that were like made out of wood like that?
Yeah, the wooden tracks. They had like 60 degrees, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think they should like keep going though. They should go all the way up and over.
Up and over.
Because you know how they say an F1 car has enough downforce that it could drive upside down?
I don't think we should test that.
We should test that. I think we should just make a cylindrical track that you drive on the inside of. And that way you could pass over people.
Alright, if you want to throw up several $100,000.
Hey, you know, streaming's a lucrative business.
So wait, I say several $100 million.
Hey, streaming's a lucrative business, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, if it was on ESPN.
That's not the worst idea I've ever had. I'm just saying that if we made cylindrical tracks, it would make racing better. And then you couldn't hit the catch fence because there was no fence. You could make the whole thing out of Lexans so everyone just could watch. It'd be like a gerbil track.
But then here's the problem, though, is that if there's a wreck, everyone's going to come down flying to like one point at the bottom of the circle.
And? They call Dover a self-cleaning racetrack. I'm just making a better version of Dover.
Yeah, these guys will be cleaned out of existence.
Well, you just make a trapdoor at the bottom, and it just feeds into a chute where they just destroy the cars. It's like a trash compactor.
Okay, and anyway, Frankenfield is in the lead.
I'm just saying, hey, I'm just saying, ISC, call me, and we can work something out. We should bulldoze Kentucky and Texas and turn them into cylindrical tracks.
All right.
All right, well, lap number 45. 1 to green here. That's one way to pass the time under yellow is design racetracks that we want to see.
Want to see and will never exist except in your imagination.
It's going to happen someday. Through 1 and 2, Chad Frankenfield and David Wilson now, and this is as they were last time through. Johnny Thomas again will be starting on the inside of row 2. Look who keeps climbing forward just ever so slightly at each restart. Is that Moe's number 24, Carlos Acosta. And I'm expecting him to be quick here tonight. He's come from a little ways back. I believe 16th was where he started, so he's made his way up 12 spots and looking pretty good. So pace car's working its way through 3 and 4 now. And we'll restart. Not even a third of the way done here, so the attrition has been exceptionally high. Long way to go, but as the field thins out, we're back green here, lap number 46. Frankenfield fires off again. Wilson again matches the speed and will take off and will clear Johnny Thomas. And Acosta and Thomas behind will get sorted out for 3rd and 4th. But move Acosta up another spot.
Yeah, everyone's pretty spread out so far on the start as everyone files in through. There you see Grunberg back in the 54. He's back up trying to get around the 63 of Stevens. I'll move him up to 8th place. And he's going to try to do his best to reclaim what he can of this night.
The lead, David Wilson tracked down Frankenfield just a little bit last time through. Caught him by a couple hundredths of a second, reeling him in little by little. But the arrow push going to begin to slow his progress. You see him just a little bit tight out of turn 4, trying to get some speed. Here comes Peter Short, survived that collision on the past couple restarts. Going to pass that number 83 for 4th spot and try to move his way back forward. Does the 83 get around the outside again? No, he does not. Peter Short completes the pass.
Yeah, Peter Short has some newer tires to work with. Not significantly newer, as a lot of the laps we've recently put under were under yellow. So, but still fresher nonetheless, and he's trying to do the best he can with that. He's going to try to catch up to the 24 of Acosta to get to
Blows
Wilson
right
is really
by
slow.
him. Holy cow. Well, actually, no. It was the 39 of Wilson. Yeah, you mentioned it, Finian. Middle 3 wide here, and he's really off the pace. Does he have damage to the right side pod?
Yeah, he does to that rear, I don't know what you call that, but just in front of the tire. That rear part of the car, he had some damage. So I think he hit the wall.
Yeah, I would guess in turn 4. That's what gets people most of the time here. But move Peter Short back up to 3rd. Carlos Acosta to 2nd, but I don't think it's going to last for too long. Peter Short is flying right now, very fast to the inside of Acosta. He goes, cautions out again, and this time it's the 99 of Nick Miller. Oh, the 63 of Stevens, and David Wilson.
Yeah, it looks like, right there. The 99 also involved, so.
Let's go back, take a look at it. Cautioned out again, lap number 51. I'm going to guess this started with the 39 of Wilson. It was so frustrating. He was having such a good night. Was almost to the lead. And with that crash damage, gets to the inside here. And I wonder if he just pushes up, and the 99 runs right into him, and pow! And nowhere. Whoa! Did Grunberg get a piece of that, Finian? He might have. Stevens did, but let's go back, take a look.
It's right on board with Grunberg to see when he saw that.
We're right on board the shoulder cam. Mention how fast they're going here, Finney. You see the crash right out of turn 4. Already committed, goes high. Oh, gets a little bit of damage there. But, yeah, just to the left side pod there. But then the other car that got a piece was Mike Stevens. Was behind Grunberg here.
Yeah, I just don't think it was enough for
on the brakes, tries to shoot the gap and just loses it. So no crash damage there.
Oh, okay. I was wondering why his wing was dented up. It was because he hit the inside of the track.
Right with the right front suspension cam and Nick Miller, and I guarantee you this is going to hurt. Oh. Oh, man. See the suspension dragging on the ground there. So that 99 probably done. That whole right front hub assembly missing on that number 99.
They're driving with 3 wheels to Ryan Robin.
Well, last night we were 3-wheeling because we were lifting the left front out of the air while we were dirt tracking it. And Nick Miller were 3-wheeling it tonight after destroying the right front suspension in a crash with David Wilson. So, change for the lead here, Finian.
Change for the lead indeed. So that would only mean that Frankenfield has come down pit road. And yeah, so the top 3 have stayed out. Again, haven't put too many laps on this set of tires, maybe 6 or 7. But everyone else behind has got fresher tires.
Yeah, Peter Short came back down. And I like I still think he's the car to beat. He's been consistently fast. The only reason he's not in the lead is because of pit strategy. So I'm still, if we can get some green flag runs, which we're going to as soon as the rest of the field, we get, take one down, pass it around 8 Indy cars on the wall. In the fence. Peter Short now is in 5th, but as the field continues to, string itself out, I expect that Peter Short will probably be the one to beat here at the end of the night.
Definitely think so.
Carlos Acosta, though. P16 to P1. This is a guy we haven't talked a whole lot about, and we definitely deserve to talk about him here. He has been very fast here tonight.
Yeah, he's been doing everything right. You can see the concentration on his eyes, or at least his avatar's eyes. But yeah, it has done everything right. Navigated through a lot of these wrecks that happened early on, and now finding himself in first. So we'll see what he can do with it. He's got a bunch of hungry drivers behind him, notably the 83 of Thomas, 46 of Hanshaw, 15 of Frankenfield, and 22 at Short. So he's got to hold off all these charging guys as he's coming down just past a third of the way through the race.
He needs a visor tear off.
Fun fact that doesn't. It's not going to do anything. It's just like that.
Dang it. That's gonna drive my OCD nuts.
Yeah, that's just an effect they have on it.
Anyway, so I was thinking about the cylindrical track. We just make it out of Lexington. That's all I'm saying.
All right, I'll tell you what. You get like a testing facility, and you test that.
Who says I won't?
Your bank account.
I'll just fire you. You're my biggest cost. This generator is like, it's like sounds like an old Honda trying to get out of a snowbank.
It's funny because it was like just a constant hum earlier. Now they're really like revving it.
Outside our apartment, there is a generator that sounds like a cat choking on a razor blade thrown into a garbage disposal. And,
what kind of cats you hear screaming?
That would sound like that. They're just pulsed in the garbage disposal to finish it off or something. But it's very obnoxious and annoying, and I won't be complaining. But all right, 1 to green. Restart time. Another caution coming and gone, and Carlos Acosta leads, but look what he did. He's taken the outside lane, the first time we've seen that tonight.
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to try to at least experiment with this and just to see how well it works on the outside. And really, there isn't too much of, I guess, preference really for the lines. I would argue, if anything, the inside line, just because it's shorter as these guys get up to speed. But who knows? We'll see what Acosta is going to be able to do on the restart.
I agree with Acosta's move here. I think you can pinch that inside guy down and force him to back off the throttle, but it does put you in danger of getting hit. So Carlos Acosta has to be careful. Ford FR500 pace car pulls off. Green flag back in the air. Acosta gets a great jump. The rest of the field behind him a little bit backed up. But look at Kyle Hanshaw now trying to move his way into the top 3.
Hanshaw trying to make the pass on the inside of Frankenfield. Frankenfield's going to try to blow by Johnny Thomas on the outside. He's going to settle in behind him and potentially making the pass here. He dives to the inside in turn 3 and 4. We'll see what Frankenfield can do.
Side by side for second. Peter Short clears Kyle Hanshaw behind for third, but they're side pod to side pod in 1 and 2. Look out, Frankenfield drifts up the racetrack a little bit, hits the apron, and we'll have to give up that chase down for second spot for now. Tries again in 3 and 4. Thomas using that outside lane to accelerate off the corner and drive away. Peter Short, the quickest car on the track by over 1/10 of a second. Through 1 and 2 again. Frankenfield really beginning to close in on Johnny Thomas.
Yeah, Frankenfield's going to try to do the best he can to get around Thomas, because Peter Short's right there in his rearview mirror, and he's really starting to close up.
Look who's not too far behind. Peter Short closing in. Wow, the 15 pulls up right in front of him. Almost contact there between the 3rd and 4th place cars. But look at Frankenfield drives to the bottom again. But you got to watch out that arrow push up in the center of the corner, Finney, and Frankenfield's got to be cautious of that.
And I think he's Short try to work on the outside, potentially with Thomas. I think he's going to try to use a little bit of draft and maybe try to slingshot around. We'll see what Short's going to do. But Frankenfield to the bottom should almost be clear. No, it's not going to be enough.
Here comes Peter Short.
Yeah, and Short's going to get around him with ease there, as Frankenfield had to check up, trying to go middle 3 wide.
Peter Short, look at where he's been around this line all night, about the 3rd groove up, and it's very fast what he's been doing. Consistently the quickest car on the racetrack still, and now we've got his sights set on Johnny Thomas, but look out, no, tied off at turn 4, but he's got the run of that orange number 83.
And notably, too, it's also a much more conservative line. He used up a lot less tire trying to run 3 lanes up the track than all the way to the bottom, so it's going to make you faster later on, and you're going to be able to maintain speed more. So you see now these guys catching Acosta, and we got a 4-way battle here for the lead.
Acosta leads now, but not by very much. Johnny Thomas in that upper lane, but here comes Peter Short to the bottom. Short gets tied up at turn 2, and look who takes advantage of it. Frankenfield to the outside, following Johnny Thomas through. We're 3 wide for second behind Acosta.
You see Frankenfield being able to stick in middle, and there it goes. Acosta's going to try to stay there.
Wow.
Goes to the inside to defend Thomas on the outside.
Thomas trying to kind of rim ride around the outside, get the run, but here comes Frankenfield to the inside of the leader. Nose to tail down into turn 3. Frankenfield goes for the yellow line. Acosta stuck in the middle. Johnny Thomas trying to use that outside lane. Peter Short going to back out of this for now.
There's Acosta getting a run. He's going to dive it up the inside. Does he have enough tires left, though, to defend Frankenfield? No, he does not. Frankenfield's just going to drive around him, and here comes Peter Short and Thomas.
And Kyle Hanshaw back in 5th is just waiting for these guys to get in a wreck and take themselves out, because that'll put that 46 car in the top spot. Battle for second now between Acosta and Short. Short pulls right up in front of Johnny Thomas off into turn 1. That was a great battle for second, but it seems like it's sorted out just a little bit. Through turns 3 and 4 now. Short still running about halfway up the racetrack. Gets a great run out of 4 to the inside of Acosta. He goes.
Yeah, he doesn't want to waste a lot of time here because he's going to try to get up to the 15 of Frankenfield.
There's Ghost Gruenberg.
Yeah, he was notably slow off the pace. I think he got some damage on the restart, so he's significantly slower than these other guys. But here comes Acosta now, trying to get second place back. Can't get it done, and Short's just going to maintain second place.
Does not have the tire. But we look back here for 5th. That's Kyle Hanshaw. He's 2.6 seconds behind Johnny Thomas, but trying to reel him in, and actually ran about 0.2 of a second quicker the last time through. But the battle still for second, Short, Acosta. But now Acosta and Thomas will be racing each other for 3rd.
And Thomas is notably a lot further behind than I thought. Might have had a slow lap or so. So he's trying to catch back. He's actually losing some time here. And I think Hanshaw is catching him. Or sorry, that is not Hanshaw.
That would be the lap down machine of Matt Hackathorn, the 44.
Okay. Yep, that is. Okay.
Well, Chad Frankenfield driven out to a 1.2 second lead over Peter Short and continues to run quicker than Short right now. So curious, that clean air seems to be working in Frankenfield's favor. Now we wonder if Short can reel him back in. Let's watch the lap times this time through. A 17.2 for Frankenfield, a 17.0 for Peter Short. So Short 0.2 quicker that last time through.
Yeah, I was gonna say the aero shouldn't be too bad. The aero push shouldn't be too bad around here. Maybe once you get in within a half a second, is where you're really gonna start to feel it. So I think Short's just gonna try to run that outside line, make sure to conserve his tires for the late run, and make sure that he's got something left for Frankenfield, and slowly but surely reel him in.
Last time through, they're almost dead even, but give the advantage to the 22 once again. Look at the speed they carry in turn 3. Absolutely phenomenal speed here. Closing in the halfway point of this race, Peter Short now a little bit quicker still, now under a second to Chad Frankenfield.
Yeah, so the battle we've been watching early on has now completely settled down as everyone's kind of fallen into their own place and rhythm.
Johnny Thomas has settled into 4th. Running time's a little bit quicker than Acosta ahead of him, but about a second behind that Moe's number 24.
Yeah, so Thomas has got to do a little bit of work again, like you said, just catching him slowly but surely to that 24. But he's got to start taking up a little bit more if he wants to start getting back into this race.
Kyle Hanshaw has dropped off the pace a little bit, running about 17.7s. Everyone in front of him running about 2 to 3/10 quicker. So Hanshaw's lost the handle on that number 46 car, but look at them. It's so beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. I know I've said that a lot tonight, but look at that paint scheme.
Yeah, it is a very good-looking car. There's a car pulling to the bottom. I think that's a Hackathorn.
Yep. Does he have damage again? Might be pulling it off, calling it quits as he's 2 laps down. Matt Gruenberg's still out there making things work. Here he goes, getting passed by the second-place car, Peter Short. Gruenberg now 2 laps down from the leader.
And then there were 7.
Well, 6.
I'm just saying 7 on the
7
track.
total. Take one down, pass it around. 5 IndyCars on the wall. Frankenfield now leads by 1.3. These guys have been trading blows back and forth, but it seems like it's slowly extending in favor of the 15 car. So I really think that clean air is helping Frankenfield. Of course, clean air when there's nobody in front of you, Finian. All that downforce you can have. When you're behind, the air is very turbulent, and Peter Short's having to deal with that, even 1.6 seconds behind. Seems like Frankenfield's found that line that Peter Short was running about the the 3/4 way up the racetrack, and it seems to be where the speed is.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to settle into a rhythm here until their next set of pit stops. I believe they're going to have at least one more stop to make before the end of this race.
Yeah, working lap number 29, or well, lap number 29 on the stint here, Finian, but some guys, like Carlos Acosta, are running lap number 40 on their stint, so they're going to have to come down. The question is when they're going to do that. They could probably, I'd want to go a little bit longer before I come in.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to go a little bit longer too, but also keep in mind the fact that the odds of caution are pretty low at this point. So now these guys got to just worry about now making that green flag pit stop. Make sure that they don't mess up. No speeding, no sliding through your pit stall, and get everything right.
Get everything right indeed. But again, the guy that has climbed the farthest through the field here is Carlos Acosta, 16th to 3rd. So he's having a very good night regardless. Frankenfield continues to lead by 1.6 seconds. They're really just a stalemate between the top two right now. The Miller Lite, Textron Shell, number 15, leads Peter Short, and that DMDG car is running about a tenth slower each lap. And there was Peter Short that just went by. Here comes Acosta. That's 4th place Johnny Thomas. Kyle Hanshaw about 6 seconds behind Thomas. So here he comes. And there's the leader, Frankenfield. So actually, Frankenfield's about to go ahead and lap number 46. You can actually see him in frame there up the top left of your screen, way up towards turn 1. That's the purple number 46 of Kyle Hanshaw. I got one smoking on pit lane for you.
Yeah, trying to see who that is. I don't...
Well, it's a car that's already been there,
yeah,
for sure.
But... So Frankenfield goes around Grunberg, and Stevens looks like he's
oh,
going
man,
to let him by.
That was close. Well, Hanshaw now in 5th place is in danger of going a lap down. Right there is the leader. That's Chad Frankenfield.
And he's closing up in a hurry.
Yeah, Hanshaw's about a second off the pace here, so this is going to be one and done for Frankenfield.
You see Hanshaw giving him the lane.
And there he goes. So put Hanshaw 1 lap down. And Peter Short still keeping Frankenfield in sight, but has not been able to close in.
Yeah, this lap traffic hasn't entirely helped him as well.
60 laps to go when we get back around again, Finney, and we're taking them off pretty quick now that we're under green, so Frankenfield's got to start thinking about the pit stop sequence. You don't want to get yourself undercut because right now they're lapping about a second slower than their best time, so obviously coming in and getting service is going to make you a lot quicker than those that are staying out.
Yeah, and I can imagine that Peter Short is definitely thinking about that, has that in his mind, and I'm definitely sure that he's probably going to attempt to do that, but again, it's a matter of how long do you wait till your competitor comes in, and then you're kind of screwed in strategy. So I think he's going to try to make sure that he's good on fuel, and then that's where he's going to try to go in and strike. This
is a battle for position here, Finney, and Hanshaw and Stevens has been running quicker than Hanshaw, and this is actually going to be a change for position here. If Stevens can get around him, to the inside goes a 63. And they're side by side in 3 and 4. Mike Stevens continues to dog rear bumper of Kyle Hanshaw.
Yeah, notably too, though, there's some left front damage to that 63, so it's going to be harder for him to make a move to the inside. Doesn't have as much downforce.
Hanshaw got it real tight off of turn 2. That's going to allow Stevens to get back to the inside, but so little downforce on the inside of a car, and it's going to make this very difficult for Mike Stevens. This is really the battle for position on the racetrack right now. We're right on board with Stevens and watch him try to get this tactically done. To the inside he goes. Hanshaw slow.
Yeah, might have it here. He's got a good run going down the straightaway. And off into turn 1 and 2 they go.
Completes the pass. Mike Stevens up to 5th. 20th to 5th, too. Plus 15 for that 63. Gets on the apron there a little bit, Finian. A little bit slow. Oh, Hanshaw almost gets in the wall off of turn 4. Carlos Acosta going to put him a lap down.
Yeah, so Stevens definitely going to be happy with this performance now, as he's going to have a nice points lead, not lead, I should say, but a good amount of points going into the next 2 weeks.
Well, a lot of the guys that walked in here we thought would be extremely quick. Tanner Sharp, Jordan McEvoy, Chad Brown, Levi Zielinski even. Those are guys that we would have expected to be running inside the top 5. And with the crash in the first round of this Triple Crown Championship, it's not going to help them moving forward. Again, we're going road racing next week. Totally different kind of racing than Iowa Speedway here this week. So next week we go to Watkins Glen, a 14-turn road course in upstate New York. And that is absolutely the exact opposite of everything we're racing here tonight. So I do know one guy that's going to be good. It'll be Peter Short, because he's good pretty much everywhere. And Short lost a little bit more ground on Frankenfield, but has begun to decrease that lead just a little bit. Just eating in about a half a tenth to a tenth a lap. So Peter Short now trying to reel Frankenfield back in. 1.9 seconds separate them.
And that time he was a little bit slower, so that gap kind of went back to where it was before at around the 2-second mark. So Short really struggling on these tires, trying to find some speed here to chase back up to the 15.
50 laps to go here at Iowa Speedway. We're working lap 101 of 150. And Chad Frankenfield has really proven himself now to be the dominant car. We thought it'd be Peter Short, but Frankenfield has driven out to the front and is extending his lead. And it's not something I expected, although I do think if you swap the spots, Peter Short will be doing the same thing. I think the clean air is that important. Frankenfield's now out in 2.3 seconds over Peter Short. Maybe Peter Short can pull an undercut and get ahead of Frankenfield. Acosta is going to be in danger of going a lap down here in a couple laps if he doesn't pick up the pace.
Yeah, he's got about 7 seconds till he goes a lap down from the leader. So yeah, really losing some time. Again, only top 3 left on the track on the lead lap. Everyone else has been a lap down or more.
A lot of attrition here this week. I don't think it's going to be unlike this next week as well. I mean, Watkins Glen is a hard place to drive. I was talking with you earlier about how fast it is, and this is the same thing. I mean, these tracks that we've selected are just ridiculously fast in terms of just how it feels, the perception of speed. And Watkins Glen, a very high downforce racetrack for these cars. They're going very fast around the corners here, and as well as here tonight. So the difficulty level is going to go even up next week.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely cars are fast, so it's easy to put a fast lap time down. But to be the fastest is really the tough part, as you have to push this car to its absolute limits to get us every ounce of speed. And
there's not much of a line. If you step over it, even with your toe, you're going to go flying into the fence. And next week at Watkins Glen, we're going to line the racetrack with some grass and curbing. And of course, these cars are extremely low. They don't handle curbing very well. So the drivers exploring the edges of grip will be exploring the edges of the track limits as well. And obviously, that's not always going to end out very well. Kyle Hanshaw coming down pit lane, Finian. I like this move.
Yeah, definitely. And he slid through his pit stall. Yep, he did. He's going to have to back up. He's going to lose some time there. But yeah, definitely like the move in general, though, of getting some fresher tires. And again, quick pit stops here at 7 seconds.
9 seconds for Hanshaw. A little bit slow because of the missed pit stall. But now the question becomes, Peter Short is going to watch that 46 car, see how much ground he gains. And Peter Short, 2.5 seconds behind. So if he undercuts him by a lap or two, that could be the difference between him leading this race and finishing second. There's a lap down Johnny Thomas. 6 laps down. Recovering from damage. Moved Mike Stevens up to 4th after that. So now I wonder if he'll respond to Hanshaw at all. It doesn't look like he's going to even bother, but those two were battling for positions before, so it'll be interesting to see if Hanshaw can gain any time back on Stevens.
Honestly, I would just come in just to at least get the wing fix. It'll only take an extra maybe second or two for them to change the wing out and put a new one back on, so I would just come down for that. We see him actually very loose, going to hit the wall, actually. Man. So
yeah. Well, just like that, that's going to be so frustrating. We'll go take a look at the replay. Talk about the edge of grip here, just misjudges it a little bit. It's the apron that got loose, yeah. And just couldn't quite keep it out of the wall. Not very light contact, though. It might be okay. Well, look who's coming to pit lane, Finian.
And off of pit lane he comes out, so the 22 shorts come down to 15 of Frankenfield answer.
I know who one other guy that's answering, Carlos Acosta. He was behind Peter Short before, and here comes Frankenfield down to pit lane, and that means Peter Short's got to run a very impressive outlap to make up the time that he would have gained back. So a caution's out, Finian. Caution on the racetrack. Johnny Thomas and the 63 of Mike Stevens barreling through the air, and that's going to change how this race looks because Peter Short trapped a lap down. Wow. Not what Peter Short wanted to see. Oh, man. The 63 was just slow, and the 83 came barreling in there and didn't have time to react.
Actually, I think the should... Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, just... The 63 was so slow on the racing line, but Johnny Thomas, when they're a little bit hot and didn't have enough time to slow up. So, 2 more cars collected in incidents here. And then there were 3. But yeah, so Frankenfield was able to complete his service and come back out on the racetrack, but Peter Short would have had probably had at least a shot for the lead. But now we'll have to restart as second, but we're stopping the racetrack right now, trying to wait for the pace car, get everything sorted out here.
Yeah, where is the pace car indeed? Because this is a confusing situation.
Looking. How do you actually see it?
Yeah, it should pop in the frame at some point. Give it a...
No, I'm not,
So, there's Brett Bodine.
So...
there
it is. It's on the back straight now.
Oh, okay.
That took that a long time to come out of the pits. I don't know, maybe he's in the bathroom.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering if it probably might have screwed up scoring considering the leader was down pit road.
I'm sure might have been what happened.
So it took its own sweet time to come out. It's alright. So now we finally should get everyone sorted out. Yeah, from the looks of it, yeah. So I think Peter Short might be a lap down here.
Oh, man.
Unless they're supposed to be in front of Frankenfield, so it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, the scoring is definitely confused here, and we'll let iRacing sort itself out. See, there's Kyle Hanshaw 2 laps down. Again, that also hurt his strategy. He was going to try to make up some ground. But I think what's going to happen here is these cars have to let the Frankenfield by, and then they'll pick up, and it's going to get very confusing here.
Oh, okay. So it looks like Acosta and Short were saved,
but they're gonna get the wave around here, I believe.
Yeah. So they're gonna be put back on the lead lap. So,
well, that was not graceful as a caution sequence, but we're closing in on the end of this race here. Fitting about 10 minutes left once we go green, so it means these drivers are gonna have to really go hard. I still think Peter Short can be a threat to win, but he's got to get himself back on the lead lap and got to be really aggressive on the restart. Doesn't have any time to mess around. Frankenfield's got the pace. Peter Short is going to have to go up there and match him. Cut to break. We'll be right back in a minute with the restart. Stay with us. Welcome back to Iowa Speedway and Sim TV. We're about ready to go green to finish off race number 1 in the 3WideRacing League Triple Crown IndyCar event. And obviously the attrition been extremely high here tonight. Let's see, percentage-wise, we have a 7th. I don't know what that is decimal, but not very many cars left from the ones that started. A lot of cars involved in single and multi-car accidents, but now we have Frankenfield, Short, and Acosta going for the victory with about 9.5 minutes of racing left here, Finian, and it's going to be a single file restart this time because of the wave around situation. So pace car pulls off. Frankenfield to have the spot. This gives an advantage to Peter Short, though. He's going to be able to jump this a little bit, maybe be right on Frankenfield's rear pod here and come out of turn 2. But Frankenfield drives away quickly, but can Peter Short answer?
I think he's got a shot. This is the best shot he has here. We've seen him been very good on the short run pace in comparison to the 15, so might be able to drive back up there. So we'll see as the 22 tries to chase him down.
Acosta, I don't think Acosta's got a whole lot for this, but Peter Short was quicker by a 10th last time through, but the arrow push, if he could just drive through the arrow push, then he might be able to get the lead away, but if his tires wear out before he can get by him, it might be over for Peter Short.
Yeah, I think Short's really got to make the move now, sooner rather than later. This is going to be a lot harder to drive with the arrow push there, using up a lot of his tires, still trying to make the car turn, so definitely now is the time to go.
Running a little bit higher up than Frankenfield. He is running quicker right now. There's another 10th quicker. That time was a little bit slower, but again, it's the arrow push that's making this very difficult for Peter Short right now. Losing some more ground here. Might be all he has. Finian Frankenfield's just quicker right now.
Yeah, I see him trying to turn in a little bit lower on entry, but that's losing him a lot of speed on exit that Frankfield's starting to build a gap with. So I think Short's got to start driving a higher line rather than trying to chase the 15 down low. Because I mean, by the time they get to the end of this race, they should be on relatively worn out tires. So that way he can try to drive around on the late game. But yeah, so I think if he keeps trying to drive down there, I think it's going to start making the car worse and worse.
Be 25 to go when we get back to the line. About 7.5 minutes of racing remaining. Frankenfield out leading now by 0.8 of a second over Peter Short. Carlos Acosta now 3.6 behind. Not a whole lot he has left in the tank for this. So Acosta and Hanshaw now pretty much going to be 3rd and 4th if they maintain this position. Frankenfield he came out of nowhere. Started 4th place, moved his way up into 1st. Early on, probably about the 3rd waypoint in the race, and since then has just not looked back. Has been amazing on the restarts. There was one moment when he might have looked like he could have lost it, but has since drove away from Peter Short and not making it easy.
Yeah, definitely showing that he has some potential to fight Short in this car. Again, when we go to the road course next week, it's a whole different skill set on the road side of things as well, so it'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
It'll be a good points day for Acosta here, running in the 3rd spot if he can come home in this position.
Yeah, and I think he pretty much as long as he keeps it off the wall, I think he's pretty much set in stone for 3rd. Next car back is Kyle Hanshaw 2 laps down behind him, so yeah, he's got a pretty good gap.
Next week will be a little bit of a wild card as well, Finian, with the road course situation. Again, we don't go road racing a lot in the 3WideRacing League. We went a couple times in the truck series, and it went pretty well for some guys, but awfully for some others. And Peter Short lapped everyone at Lime Rock, and the same thing at Coda as well.
Yeah, some guys that expect to do well next week, though, as well as Peter Short, is David Wilson, the 39, and 33, Jordan Teal. Those are both guys that we've seen good on the road side of things. Jordan Teal also notably made some starts in the Scarsfari Challenge, so been in road cars as well for Jordan Teal. So, again, very interesting to see how this all plays out next week at Watkins Glen.
Frankenfield leads now with 20 coming to 19 laps to go, up 1.7 seconds on Peter Short, and all they got to do is come home in 5 minutes from now, and we'll crown the winner for the first round of the iRacing 3WideRacing League Triple Crown for the IndyCar side of things. Last night, the 54 of Matt Grunberg took home a victory at Eldora Speedway in the street stocks, and tonight we'll come home 6th, but we'll be about 40 laps down out of the race. So Grunberg, not a terrible night, all things said and done, when you consider everyone else's terrible nights, but curious to see him next week as well at Watkins Glen. We only saw him on one road course at
Coda.
Coda, and he did quite well there. So I expect Grunberg to be fast next week as well. And with the cautions off, it'll create a little bit more of an interesting dynamic when people spin. So look for that 54 to be quick next week. Do you know what the lap count is at Watkins Glen next week? Look that up for me. Frankenfield leads now 1.7 seconds. Peter Short's been matching times the last couple times through, but he needs to start eating into that lead if he wants to have a shot at it. 15 to go at the line. 4 minutes of racing remaining. Frankenfield leads continually. Carlos Acosta now 7.5 seconds behind. Hanshaw just went another lap down. 3 laps down now. Frankenfield onto the back straightaway.
Interesting, notably, Watkins Glen a timed race, 60 minutes.
60. Okay, well that's 60 minutes, minute 25. That's going to be 40-ish laps?
Yeah, that's a good estimate.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun race next week. But again, Watkins Glen, one of my favorite racetracks. Actually, not even one of them. It's my favorite racetrack. So I'm really excited for that next week, especially in a car like this. Now 13 to go, and Chad Frankenfield has extended the lead to 2.2 seconds. I'm just amazed at how much Peter Short's run out of gas. Started out this race half a second quicker than anybody else, and as soon as he lost the lead, did not have the pace to get back up there and take it away.
Yeah, I think Peter Short definitely was its strength was driving in clean air, was able to put a lot of pace to the other guys, and then once he got into that dirty air, I just don't think it was able to maintain that pace. You ask, no, we don't receive. You receive what? I don't know. I was trying to word that.
That was horrible.
You ask, we give.
That's not the saying, Pinion.
But
ask and you shall receive is what you're looking for.
Yeah, there you go.
But Peter Short now, the focus in the eyes, that visor, whoever put that tear off on needed to squeegee it down a little bit better. It's driving me up the wall.
Oh, that would be iRacing art designers. So
horrible.
Have a word with them.
Kills my immersion. I quit. 10 laps to go. Frankenfield now 2.1 out in front of Short. Short, actually, for the first time, ran a quicker lap last time through, but is going to need to be taking massive chunks out of the lead to get anything at this point. That's loud from that visor cam. Two minutes left in this race. 8 laps to go. And Peter Short's still running quicker. That time was a little bit slower.
Yeah, I think at this point, I think Short's kind of accepted his fate. He's gonna drive it out in second. There's really not that much point in pushing, and end up putting the car on the wall. So I think he's gonna take it on the cheek here, finish in second, do better next weekend at Indy for the finale.
This guy, this is an impressive performance if I've seen anything.
Yeah, definitely interested to see. Again, haven't seen anything of Frankenfield. Besides this race, so I'm kind of curious also his pace, if he's just good in the IndyCar all around, as well if that'll transition over to next week on the road side of things. So definitely going to be a car to look out for in that 15 machine.
Well, this week is all about precision and getting your lines exactly right, and next week that's going to be ultra important when you got foot-high curbs in the bus stop chicane. You don't want to be driving over those. That'll be not very fun, so I think the precision will carry over. The question is, will the right and left transitions carry over as well? Not a whole lot of right turns. Well, we saw some people take right turns. It didn't end very well here today. But next week, those are kind of required.
Now 4 laps to go for Frankenfield to collect his checkered flag. Just got to make sure he makes it to the end of the race.
Be a plot twist if he packed it in the wall now.
It'll be like J.R. Hildebrand in 2011.
Yeah.
But I don't think Frankenfield's going to do that. I'll be, again, very intrigued if he did.
He can pretty much coast from here. He's 3 seconds up the road. 2 laps to go when we get back to the line. Frankenfield just shot out of a cannon and has been leading and has led the majority of this race ever since about the lap 45 mark. Since that restart, has been out front, dominating this event. And we'll see if it carries over, as you said, fitting next week at Watkins Glen, and the week after. Look at Hanshaw throwing a cheeky block there for fun. But then we go to Indianapolis the week later, but out of turn 4, 1 more lap, white flag in the air for Chad Frankenfield and number 15, Miller Lite Dallara IR18.
Yeah, man has dominated this entire race pretty much from flag to flag. Peter Short was good in the first part of it, but then ever since the 1/3 mark, Frankenfield's been on top. And here comes Chad Frankenfield. He will take the checker.
And and that was an absolutely dominating performance. But Peter Short, again, very quick here tonight, but just like last night, just didn't quite have enough. So this guy is going to be one to watch for sure in both the Triple Crown events. But Peter Short, one spot short here tonight. Chad Frankenfield will come back around, and we might see some donuts here if we're lucky. Comes up to the start-finish line, and we'll send it around for a little spin, a little smoke. Frankenfield collects a checkered flag.
Yeah, well-earned burnouts from that 15 machine. Yeah, we'll have to get on to see the graphic of how many laps he's led, because it's definitely a lot. I think definitely over 100 at this point.
Oh, yeah, it was well over that, but Frankenfield, solid performance here today. Whoop, that's not what I wanted.
That's immersion broken right there.
That's our patent pending float cam. It's like a giant selfie stick. All right, well, Frankenfield wins. And with that, we are concluding with the first event here for the Triple Crown IndyCar for 3WideRacing. We will be right back with interviews and more in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back live here to SimTV, here with race winner Chad Frankenfield. Chad, that was, needless to say, that was pretty much just a dominating performance. Lots of attrition out there tonight, but you survived and took home a checkered flag here in the first round of the IndyCar Triple Crown. Tell us about your night.
I mean, it was eventful. I mean, being up front, the biggest thing with these Indy cars, especially on a track like this, is you got to try to avoid the aero push as much as possible. So I was able to just stay on the bottom a lot where guys were pushing up top. So managing track position is also huge. Outside the restarts, it's really hard to pass. So you kind of have to be in the right spot. But everything went perfect tonight. I was really happy with it. I had a lot of fun. So it was just a good night.
A good night indeed, and we saw Peter Short there kind of matching your lap times. Do you think if we had another late race restart on equal tires, do you think you might have had to hold him off a little bit more aggressively, or what was the situation there with Peter Short?
Again, I think, I've done a lot of racing with these cars on iRacing as far as the official lobbies go. I would have been able to get at least a decent restart, and by me able to hold the bottom lane, it pushes his car up the track. So for him to have been able to get a run on me, he would have had to have tried to avoid the push. So I know he did. He definitely was holding pace there at the end. It would have definitely been interesting if we were tighter. But it was just a good race. And then thank you guys for broadcasting. And then thanks to all the guys that raced tonight. I know I had a couple of really good battles, and just congrats to Peter and Carlos for being on the podium.
Well, next week we go to a road course, a 14-turn road course in Watkins Glen, New York, and I know that you're a personal fan of this racetrack, as am I. But next week, a very different style of racing. How do you like your chances?
I haven't done a whole lot of road racing with the IndyCar on iRacing. I do a lot more of it on Project cars, but Watkins Glen obviously is a track that I really, really love, and it's a track I'm very, very confident with and comfortable with. So we'll see. I mean, obviously it's a good points day today. If I can just try to get a top 5 or 6 next week would be great, because I know Indy I'll be competitive. So really just making it to the finish next week is probably going to be the biggest thing.
All right, Chad. Well, thanks for talking to us, and congrats on a victory. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, Peter Short. One spot short again tonight. Man, with how quick you are in every different form of racing, I mean, you ought to have a bunch of trophies in your hand. But P2 tonight, you needed one spot better. You were quick early in the going, but just couldn't catch Chad. What'd you need to get by the 15?
Yeah, it was a good night. Ran a great lap, got the pole. I was kind of surprised by that, but these Indy cars, they just have so much aero wash, and I had a little bit of damage from when I got hit in the rear under yellow at one point, and I really don't know how much that affected the car, but I think with any Indy car, especially on a track like Iowa, there's just going to be so much air wash that the car gets really, really tight when you're tucked up behind them. So I knew on that final restart I had about 3 laps to try and get by, and I just never could get a run to suck up the back of Chad. But good run, and I enjoyed it. It was 150 laps. It seemed like there was some pretty high attrition, but it was we were able to. Well, at least the damage we did get wasn't killer, so that was good, and able to bring home a good finish.
All right, Peter. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you going road racing again next week. We saw you in the trucks last season at COTA and at Lime Rock. Absolutely dominate those races. So curious to see if that skill transforms over to the open wheel side of things. And we wish you good luck next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
No problem. All right, now we'll talk to the third place finisher, Carlos Acosta. Carlos. Good night for you, coming back all the way from, I believe, 16th starting spot for you in that number 24, and you ended up finishing in the 3rd spot after avoiding a lot of the carnage was out there tonight. So tell us about that race and how you ended up on the podium.
Oh man, it's like my first interview in like 3 years of racing. I barely do well in qualify. I'm always in the back, the back 3. I just gotta avoid all the incidents, make my way up front, and just in general drive clean. And that's what happened. You can't touch anything with these cars. Ended up getting P3. Led a couple laps, so I'm happy about that. It's my first time in these new Indy cars. I don't have much experience with them. I bought the car just when I got home today from work, so it's definitely been a blast. I can't wait for next week at Watkins Glen. I know the track, but I don't know the car, so I gotta see how it's gonna happen.
All right, well, obviously Watkins Glen, a very different challenge next week. Road racing compared to what we saw here tonight. I know you don't have a lot of experience in the car, but what do you think you can transfer over to Watkins Glen from other cars that you've raced there with?
The Cup car and my subpar skills in road. It's probably gonna be a different experience. Just I might do better than usual. Just because it's a different car, I have to relearn everything, and now that because everything I know based on the Cup car is from old stuff that I just build upon. So with this thing, with the knowledge that I have now, it might be a smoother process. I just gotta know that the braking markers I can actually drive in deep now with these cars.
Yeah, they got pretty good brakes on them. But thanks for talking to us, Carlos, and hopefully we'll talk to you again next week at Watkins Glen.
All right, and thanks for doing the broadcast, and it's difficult work.
No problem, Carlos. I'll see you later. All right, hey, Kyle Henshaw, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, tonight, 4th again. Seems like that's your lucky number so far here in the Triple Crown events, but that beautiful number 46 car, first of all, that paint scheme is literal. It's the most amazing paint scheme on the track by far. But you avoided all the attrition and got your way up inside the top 5. Tell us about your race from your perspective here tonight.
It was a whole different ball game for me. I have no seat time in these cars whatsoever. I did one practice race, but that was at Talladega, and that was just crazy, but fun at the same time. But yeah, just totally different. aspect of racing, but I love these cars. They're so much fun to drive. I was white knuckling it the whole race, to be honest. But yeah, it's crazy how much like these things push because of aerodynamics. With a car in front of you, Chad was actually explaining it to us a little bit here in the chat room, but it made sense to what he was saying, and he was just so fast. I couldn't believe how fast he was running. But yeah, our night, I was just hanging back there a little bit for the most part of the race. Just wanted to stay out of trouble, and I was just looking forward to a top 10 and ended up with a top 5. I mean, can't beat that.
All right. Well, we know you're good at the dirt, and you've proven yourself on oval here as well. But what about Watkins Glen next week? A very different style of racing, and we don't have a lot. I know we haven't really broadcasted a lot of races that you've done road stuff, and definitely not in an open wheel car. So, what do you think what's going to happen next week?
I think a lot more guys will finish that one. It's one of the more grippier road courses that we go to. I actually don't have the racetrack. I have to get that, but just not that big of a fan of road racing. But definitely gonna practice a little bit with this car, just being new to it and whatnot. But I mean, it should make out for a good race next week, and then I'm really looking forward to Indy. Indianapolis will be really fun.
All right, Kyle. Well, congrats on another top 5 finish, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
You too. All right, and just like that, we've concluded the second of our Triple Crown events, this time on an oval. And we were talking to Carlos, bought the car today. And Kyle Hanshaw has been one practice race in the IndyCar at Talladega. So the experience level of the top 4 varies widely.
I mean, honestly, they did a solid job for surviving throughout the night.
Well, I think that's actually why they survived, because they weren't putting it right on the edge of the limit. But it is what it is. 3 cars finished on the lead lap. But next week, Watkins Glen. Tomorrow night, we have Virtual Mars racing action from I almost said Virtual International Raceway, Virginia. Well, it's not wrong. Virginia International Raceway for a 78-minute race with the Mustangs and Miatas. Thursday, we're with the Indy cars at Detroit Belle Isle. Friday, Hardline Cup Series action from Michigan. Saturday, we got Virtual Racing League from New Hampshire. That's what's coming up. We'll see you next week.